So what this is I am putting out as many videos as I can while I've reconstructed our living room because it's a bit of an effort to get the lighting and the right backdrop. Even though it's really boring, at least you don't have to put up with the background of the rest of our apartment. And then when I'm finished the videos, I'm going to restructure the living room so it's livable again. And just so it's not too boring for you, I did change my shirt. That way it doesn't look like I'm putting out 10 videos in one day all with the same clothes on. Anyway, I was asking myself what kind of environment, what kind of flavor do I want to bring to this platform? On one hand, I don't want it so raw that you're seeing me right out of the shower with my house coat on and my hair up in a towel. On the other hand, I don't want to put on such a facade where doing my makeup and my hair, and typical me, I don't do makeup and hair. This is how I look when I go to work. This is how I look when I go out and run errands. This is how my husband has to cope with me. I have a lot of respect for those women, those personalities that take time for themselves. They love the creative aspect of putting on makeup, doing their hair. That's not an effort for them. Maybe for some people it is an effort, but they like the effort. To me, that's a little bit added stress that would be the straw that breaks the camel's back for me. I have enough stress in my life, enough things I'm dealing with and coping with that if my husband isn't embarrassed to be seen with me, then that's all I'm doing. And we've talked about this a lot before too. Would he like to have a little bit of a beauty on his arm that always looks perfect? Or what kind of a woman does he want? But he chose me, exactly who I am, and he told me he doesn't need me to be anybody else than I am. So I really appreciate that. I make sure that my clothes are clean and that I don't have stains and that kind of thing. But it's interesting, you're talking about being yourself. I'm talking about what it is to be yourself. And thinking about going from being a single person to who I wanted to marry, who I wanted to live the rest of my life with, what kind of stress I wanted to introduce into my life when I bring a man into my life. Because I was single for 30 some years. I didn't get married until I was around 35. So I saw a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships, and had a chance to observe couple stress. What does it mean living with another personality, another set of values, another worldview, somebody else constantly with you in life? You are doing life with a totally different other than yourself. This is not your twin. This is not somebody who has come from the same life circumstances as you. You are having to encounter the stresses of life with somebody who sees life so different than yourself. What are their coping mechanisms? Is it to become OCD and emphasize perfection? Is it to let everything drop by the way and suddenly you find yourself, you're living in a pigsty because that's how they cope with the stresses of life? These are important concepts to wrestle with before you get committed to somebody. And I think as a young person, that concept was never introduced to me in so many words. It was, are you in love? Do they share the same desire to go into church work? Do they share this same love for Jesus? Those are important too. But when the rubber hits the road, you need to have decided, what are you willing to live with? Because if you don't know and you just marry a person because you're in love, infatuated, and afterwards you wake up to living life in the raw with that person, there's a lot of sacrifices you will need to cope with because you didn't make that informed decision beforehand. For instance, when I met Doug, I knew that I wanted to marry a laid-back person who took on life chill. A person that wasn't highly motivated. I had met a lot of men who were highly motivated, engaged in life, doers, extrovert, planning out what is their strategies, what are their 5-year goals, 10-year goals, and that's all good and well. But for me, knowing my own personality, I tend to be an introvert, laid back, people pleaser who tends to anxiety and stress. And I have social anxiety and all these kind of things where I wanted someone to compliment me, to challenge me significantly, but not so much that we are complete opposites, where everything in him irks me, exhausts me. I can't come home after a long day of work and let my hair down and relax and be myself, because now I have to be a certain different way for that person. And that person is so different from myself that I can't just be comfortably myself with him. It's a very interesting concept, because you are marrying for love, but you're also marrying in an informed way. How do you want to see the stresses of life handled together? Even in that choice, there are compromises I've had to make and sacrifices I've had to make, sacrifices he's had to make, compromises, but it's in a setting where it's more doable, more enjoyable, more understandable. There's enough differences just being two different people, let alone throwing in the mix values and premises that you already know you don't want to cope with in life. That's just a little reflection as I get into this series of videos with Doug. You're going to see a lot of our two worldviews coming together, where we are viewing videos and then sharing our ideas. And it's just very interesting to hear his perspective and appreciate his worldview, see how he views problem solving, and so different from myself. I'm learning so much from him. So thankful for this opportunity to tackle these concepts together. Let us know what you think. What are your experiences? Take care. Have a great day.